What's up, guys? This is Dylan. I just want to give you guys a quick overview on how I use my DCAs, how I mix with my DCAs, and I'm going to make this a little bit easier for you guys to see. Cool. So I also want to talk about some of the soft keys that we have set up here on the side and what they do. So first off, the way that I use DCAs, I usually always try to keep my DCAs up at nominal, up at 0, unity, whatever you want to call it. And I always try to keep them there because I know that's my base mix. So like whenever I'm starting a mix, I'll have all my DCAs up at 0 and I'll start building my mix with the individual channels, right? And then if I need to pull something back and I feel good about how I have, let's say for example drums, I feel good about how my drums are blended as a whole drum kit and I don't want to mess that up, but my drums overall are a little hot, I can come over and I can just pull my drum DCA down. Now I also, sometimes I might, during like a transition, if a pastor comes up for communion, might pull the band down a little bit with the band DCA. And sometimes when you do that, you might hear maybe a guitar is really cutting through more than you want it to. I can come over and I can pull some of my guitars back through their DCA. So the way that I get back into my bass mix after that transition is I'll slowly fade them up. So let's say pastor is done with communion, we're going back into worship. I'll slowly fade my DCAs back up and get them in the relative area. But then I've actually got some soft keys that I can press to get all of my DCAs back to 0 or back to nominal to get right back to my bass mix, and then I'll know using those soft keys all my DCAs are up at 0, which tells me I'm back to where my mix should be. I hope that makes sense. I'll show you guys kind of how this works. So I've got soft key number 1 is set up to bring up fader number 1 to 0. I can also see here if I can change my labels to show me the name, the dB, the IO patch, or the channel number. So I'll set it on dB so you guys can see this. You might not be able to see it from there. It's kind of tough, but 2 brings up the bass DCA, so on and so forth. So when I click these, all these DCAs come up. I'll let you in on a mistake I did this weekend, my first time mixing on here. During rehearsal, we're practicing run-throughs, and I fade my band DCA all the way down to get it into a video. Well, whenever service started, I forgot to reset my band DCA, and I never did hit all these soft keys to reset my mix before service. So service starts, we get into worship, I've got everything live, but I don't hear any band because I never reset my band DCA. So I had to slowly fade it back up to get into worship. We heard everything else except for the band. It's kind of embarrassing, but it is a good habit to get into, pressing all of these buttons to reset your DCA levels before service starts. That's something I usually do every time, and I guess this time I just got excited about using the new console and forgot. But if I was to double check all of my DCA buttons before service, I would have ended up hitting that band DCA up. So yeah, that's a little trick that I use. That's how I use DCAs. And if you got any questions, just let me know.